Welcome back, everyone, to the next installment of Corpse Party Book of Shadows. You know, we've been playing the chapter the whole time, all text, but we could get wrong endings, and I realized that I discovered wrong ending number 2. So before I move on with that and choose the other appropriate option, I'm going to go for wrong ending number 1. Excuse me for a second. I guess I'll just leave the room and not stand on the podium. Let's just get the hell out of here. I'm gonna crack up if the wrong ending is like, and then I left and got dinner. The end.
ダメダメ。ここは遊んでないでとっとと学校を出るべきだよね。
Da-na-na-na-na-na-na. I decided it would be best to put my yearnings aside and leave the classroom behind.
七不思議だなんてやっぱり迷信じゃない。
I couldn't believe I'd gotten all indignant with Tsukasa over something so trivial. Thinking about it now, it seemed kind of ridiculous.
さてと、家に帰ろうかな。今日は明日に備えて早く寝なくちゃ。
With this in mind, I walked toward the classroom door and took one step out into the hall. So she made it to the hall this time. When suddenly... Huh. The door slid shut on its own with incredible force, and my neck was trapped in the opening? Are you freaking kidding me? I dug my nails into the door, frantically trying to open it back up. Oh my god. But the more I pushed on it, the more it pushed back, further constricting my neck. You know, I really wish I got this, and I really wish I made this choice the first time, like in the previous installment, because I did not think that this choice mattered at all. So it's like, all of a sudden, you die. Like, what? This would have blown my mind if I chose this the first time through. It's like, you want to leave? Yeah, let's leave. Your neck gets caught. Like, I was flailing my limbs, twisting and contorting my body, trying everything I could to escape. My neck was clamped tightly. I could feel the blood rush into my head. Just don't do the blood vessel in the eye thing again, please. I couldn't breathe. Opening my mouth in terror, I stuck my tongue out as if trying to swallow the air. Forcefully shaking my head left and right, I swiveled my body to face the ceiling. That's when I saw the tall, pitch-black silhouette of a person. Ugh. You. A silent scream squirmed its way out of my throat, but the door was still pressing onto my neck. Wow! My vision whirled and I felt a sensation of falling. At the same time, a lukewarm liquid began pouring over my face. As I was struggling to make sense of what was happening to me, the door that had been violently crushing my neck quietly slid open? Oh, because she's already dead. The floor of the schoolhouse came down hard on my head. My vision had gone white and begun blurring, but I could still see. I was rolling across the hallway, and there, in the doorframe, I caught sight of my own headless torso collapsing in a heap on the floor. Jesus. The last thing I saw, out of the corner of one bloodshot, unfocusing eye, was the familiar figure of the old woman from this morning. Freaking weird! Why does she want me dead if she told me not to come here? Unless she's trying to kill me before Corpse Party happens to save myself from a worse existence? Yuck. Well, that's one way to start the installment, huh? Okay, back to where I was, I guess. One thing I'm curious about, just to refresh my memory. There's 3 more bad endings? What? That's one way to keep me occupied. You know, I wonder if the later chapters are going to have the alternate ending. It's not quite a wrong ending. It's just like, here's what could have been, and you're like, Right. Teacher's podium this time. I hurriedly hid myself beneath the teacher's podium. Oh, beneath? Oh, it's one of those. I thought it was just a stand you go behind. I grabbed my knees, curled up, and made myself as small as I could. The footsteps continued to draw nearer and nearer. Little by little, the sound grew louder. Every hair on my body was standing on end. I held my breath, clasped my hands together, and silently prayed. They were close now. Very, very close. Why was this happening? I couldn't make any sense of it. I just wanted it to be over. I prayed to God that it would end. Was this what the old woman was trying to warn me about? Was this all happening because I ignored her? Because I didn't take the paper doll from her? Was it because I'd heard the ghost story of Yoshie and allowed it to get to me? Or did the strange events of the day have nothing to do with what was happening to me now? I was still holding my breath. I didn't dare let even the tiniest of sounds escape and give away my position. The consistent rhythm of the footsteps suddenly ended halfway into one of its cycles. And it had ended right in front of this very classroom. Ooh. I had goosebumps up and down my arms and legs. I stopped praying and clasped my hands over my mouth. I knew I'd scream if I didn't. Could this be Yoshie? Was the school legend real? All I could do was close my eyes, keep my mouth shut, and hope that whoever or whatever this was would just go away. But the footstep sounds didn't start again. If this was indeed Yoshie, then she'd stopped in front of the classroom and was just standing there. I had no concept of time anymore. I stayed in my hiding spot for what was probably only a few minutes, but felt like at least an hour. I decided to carefully peek out from under the podium. I gingerly edged my head out just far enough to get a glimpse of the room, when suddenly... Oh, God. The footsteps rang out once more. It sounded like they were headed right for me, and they might have been inside the room. I honestly couldn't tell. That's terrifying. I scrambled back into my hiding spot and covered my mouth with both hands. That is freaky. This was too much for me. My breathing was coarse and erratic, and my face was a mess of tears and snot. I was inconsolable. The footsteps just wouldn't stop. What on earth were they doing? It almost seemed like they were running around in circles just to scare me. Oh, what a troll. That's actually a brilliant move to scare somebody. I mouthed these words over and over again and moved my hands to my ears in a vain attempt to block out this torturous sound. You know, that torturous sound. And as if in response, the sound changed. Watch it get louder and faster. Just wait for it. Ooh. It was a loud, dull thud, followed by silence. No more footsteps. I'd heard that sound hundreds of times before. It was the classroom door sliding open. I peeked out, but the door was still tightly shut. How could that be? If the sound I heard wasn't the door, then what was it? What little safety I'd felt here was pretty much gone, but to be fair, I wasn't absolutely certain the spirit had seen or heard me either. The prospect of stepping out into the open was not a desirable one, but I had to decide if it was better to stay where I was, or make a break for it. Oh. I don't know, wait it out? The spirit can't be here in the morning when the kids are here, am I right? But it only took a moment for that decision to come back and bite me. Okay, sorry. My body was suddenly weighed down. In an instant, without knowing what was happening, my fetally positioned form was essentially locked in place. It was like a boulder had fallen on top of me and was resting on my arched back. I twisted and shuffled myself around, trying to shake it off, but the more I struggled, the heavier it became. And what's more, it felt like it was slowly inching its way up toward my head, as if it were planning on dropping down in front of my face. Was this a person? It was a female voice, reverberating ominously as if bubbled up from the depths of hell. I squirmed violently, desperate to throw her off of me. Sure. No, yeah, that'd be great. I'll be the runner. Oh! My vision went red, or at least it felt that way. Whoever was on my back had dug her razor-sharp fingernails right into my eyes. Okay. I collapsed on the spot. The pain was instantaneous and unbearable. I could no longer hold my position. I could no longer focus on anything but this agony. What a stickler for the rules, Jesus. The pain shot through my head in waves. It was indescribable, unthinkable. I couldn't take it any longer. My consciousness faded, and I was gone. I would never know exactly what had happened to me, but maybe I was better off that way. Ugh. Hey, I have a brilliant idea. I'm not going to stay hidden, and I'm going to make a break for it. Christ. I sure know how to pick 'em. Mm-hmm. 2 to go to complete the chapter. Jeez. Well, there's no exploring involved, so at least I'll get that efficiency out of the way. It was save file 1, right? Yep. Let's do it. There. Let's get the hell out. Staying in one place for too long seemed like it would be inviting trouble, so I took a deep breath and reluctantly crawled out, as quietly as I could. But almost immediately I felt something. Something long and thin had struck me in the back of the head. Or perhaps struck isn't the right word. There was a little force behind it, but it wasn't a hard slam. More like someone trying to get my attention. I knew I wouldn't like what I was going to see, but I had to face whatever this was, so I turned around. And there, looming over me, was... How am I going to get out of this? Oh, thank God. A figure was peering down at me from above the podium with one emaciated, wishbone-like finger extended toward my face. I recognized this person instantly. No doubt about it, this was the strange old woman who'd supposedly passed away earlier. Tell your friends about this tomorrow. I was scared out of my mind. I tumbled the rest of the way out from under the podium and shot to my feet. So why would Miss Yui, act this story out in the future? You'd think she'd be like, this is the one thing. She'd be like, nope. A ghost. There really was a ghost in the school. My breathing was ragged and my heart was pounding so hard I thought I might explode. Plowing through all the desks in my way, I ran as fast as I could toward the classroom door. But that was as far as I could go. Oh, God damn it. How do you get out of this? Ugh. There in the open doorway was the same old woman emitting a bluish-white glow. This was the source of the light I seen through the window earlier. But how in the world did she get to the door before I did? I felt like I was starting to hyperventilate and tried as best as I could to calm my breathing as my eyes darted about the room. I needed to get out of here now, to get as far away from this place as I possibly could. Yeah, about that. What do you do? I bit my lip and continued scanning the room. I didn't have time to think carefully about it. I just had to grab something and hope for the best. There were two choices, two options, and I had to pick one on impulse before it was too late. You have one choice, two options. Oh my god. What happens if I screw this up?
どうしようどうしよう
When I looked over, the spirit of the old woman was holding out her hand from the other side of the door frame. She really was trying to catch me. I wasn't just being paranoid, she was going to kill me and turn me into a ghost like her. I was convinced this had to be Yoshie, the teacher from that urban legend. I had the sudden sensation of someone seizing me by the throat, accompanied by an unpleasant crunching sound. God, she really did have me by the throat. I couldn't breathe. For as old as frail as she looked, she was uncommonly strong.
捕まえた
She was actually gripping me so tightly that she managed to raise me off the ground, by my neck. I could see her slender, bony hand in the periphery of my vision and feel it cutting into my trachea. Ugh. Was that hand really holding me in the air against my will, kicking and flailing just by the tissue and bones of my neck? I couldn't struggle anymore. I was like a puppet on a string.
今度はあなたが鬼よ
Oh, not that again. With a sudden crack, my field of vision shifted 90 degrees, and everything turned blood red. Holy crap.
あらあら私と同じね
Ooh. Because she fell down the stairs. She's the broken neck woman from like the first 3 Fatal Frame games. No, first 2. That sucks. Guess I won't be doing that again. Only one more. I sure am loading a lot in this playthrough, aren't I? Or this installment, I mean. But hey, this level's a lot easier to navigate than the other two. Yeah, this one still. Now here's a thought. I read that if I choose the broom is also wrong, but what would like happen? Like, would there be a difference in dialogue? Broom. A broom from the cleaning supply locker. That might work. Maybe I could fend her off with it. Long shot, but better than just standing around and getting caught.
どうしようどうしよう
When I looked over, she was holding out her hand. She really was trying to catch me. Same thing. I couldn't waste any more time? Oh! I was running at top speed, hoping to escape behind her back. Unsurprisingly, trying to outrun a ghost proved to be a fruitless endeavor. She saw me and moved at breakneck speed to intercept. Excuse me for a second. Okay, yeah, it had to be her, so I ran away. Okay, so we're good. Jeez. I impulsively thrust the broom out and stabbed her in the eye with it? Take that, I thought. But my moment of bravado was short-lived. The room immediately shattered into a million pieces. If my attack accomplished anything, it just made her mad. Did it shatter, like, on her eye? Because that'd be crazy. I had the sudden sensation of someone seizing me by the throat. Okay. Now we're at the old stuff. Okay, so that actually still counts as the same wrong end, so I did not unlock anything else. It was just a different way of approaching it, which is kind of cool. Alright. Alright. I'll finally move along with the damn plot. I'm sorry. Actually, I don't really need to save that, but whatever, for the message log. Let's just do that. Alright. How many times am I going to load in this one installment? My goodness. Okay, here we go. Right. Same options. Bag of salt.
これって
And then
科
there.
学の実験の時に使った塩の残りだよね
I heard that salt was used in purification rituals, so it seemed like a natural choice.
よしこれを持っていこう
Yay! I placed the salt in my pocket as a sort of protective charm.
怖いけど行くしかない
When I looked over, the spirit of the old woman was holding out her hand from the other side of the doorframe. She really was trying to catch me. Oh, this again.
やだ、そんなの。
Okay, new stuff now. Bracing myself, I darted toward the door at the back end of the classroom. There wasn't a moment to lose. If I didn't act fast, I probably wouldn't be able to act at all. I threw the door open, ran at top speed. She caught up to me. Okay, I thrust my hand into my pocket and withdrew the bag of salt, then threw the entire thing directly at the old woman's face. I ran down the hall as fast as my legs would carry me, briefly glancing over my shoulder after a moment to confirm that the spirit was still writhing. Mom, you would not believe what happened at school today. I just kept on running down that dark hallway with nothing but adrenaline and mortal fear to keep me going. I reached the stairwell at the end of the hall and made a mad dash toward ground level. I was determined to get out of this building alive. Finally, still moving at top speed, I reached the windowed door leading outside. Luckily, the malevolent spirit hadn't caught up to me yet. It actually seemed like I might be able to escape. I might actually survive this. No, you didn't. You're not outside. I grabbed the handle and tried pulling it. Crap. That's a fair question, actually. Oh my god, separate save file in case that timer thing counts. Okay, I got a timer. I need to check the options very carefully. Oh, I resets it for me. That was nice of it. I lost the ability to think. I knew I had to move fast. Whatever options I had, so to float off into the... Oh, I just let the timer run out. Whoops. I didn't even mean to do that. The way out was right in front of me, but I was powerless to take it. I raised my head to see if the ghost had caught up, and she had. Oops. Yeah, same thing as before. It's not going to count. Let me see if I'm given the option with the timer. Good. Okay. Get the hell out. I can't break the glass with my hands. Or maybe I could hide somewhere and throw Yushie off my trail. I don't know, she has an uncanny sense for finding me. I had no particular destination in mind. My only thought was anywhere but here. After about maybe 30 seconds, I found myself in the second floor hallway. Why would you go upstairs? What the hell's wrong with you? There was an outside corridor connecting the two buildings with the school there, and it was the first alternate escape route that came to mind. Oh. Naturally, it was walled off from the outside for safety purposes, but the wall wasn't so big that I couldn't scale it in a pinch. I didn't really want to jump from the second floor of the school, but if I had to, I was confident that I'd at least survive the fall with minimal injury. Yeah. I climbed the wall faster than I thought possible and dropped down to the narrow ledge on the other side, just wide enough to sit down. My back was to the hallway, but my location should have been completely hidden from anyone inside the school. I looked down at the muddy ground below me. I really couldn't see much, though. The outside was completely dark. It was so dark that it felt almost like the whole world had been draped in a black veil. I opened the pen case and pulled out the pencil I received from Tsukasa. Was I really treating this stubby little pencil as a protective charm? Tsukasa said it would guarantee success on my test, not ward off evil spirits. Still, it was better than nothing. I clutched it tightly in my hands and prayed. I whispered the words so quietly I might as well have been mouthing them, but that seemed to be all the opening that damn spirit needed. Oh. I sensed the presence on the ledge with me and was so startled that I almost fell from my perch. However, I could only sense her there. I didn't actually see her and thought for one brief moment that maybe I was letting my imagination run wild. But then, I felt the horrible sensation of something coiling itself around my arm. Whoa! Quick, get a fatal frame, it's the only way. Before I knew it, a tall, shadowy figure had half emerged from the wall behind me, and she had me in her grasp. Also, she's in her young form, it seems. There wasn't much more to her than an indistinct, flickering silhouette, but I could clearly see she had a broken neck. Was this a different apparition? Her scraggly, root-like fingers were squeezing my arm with tremendous force, pushing aside muscle and tissue and pressing right on the bone. Ow! Ew. I was shaking hysterically and tears were streaming down my face. I was absolutely convinced that I was going to die here. What? I could offer no resistance. She was too strong. All I could do was plead with her. I felt like my arm would snap in two at any moment. She wasn't just grabbing, but twisting as well. The pain was unlike anything I'd ever experienced before. I couldn't think about anything else. Stopping it had become my first and only priority. I struggled violently against the spirit's grip, ultimately breaking free, really? By throwing my body off the wall, toward the unseen earth below. In the face of death, everything really does seem to slow down. I'd read somewhere that this is because the brain is sending out all kinds of distress signals or something. Slow motion or not, though, I was fully aware of my surroundings. I was cascading through the air just outside my school building. Huh. If this is a dream, please let me wake up from it right now. Those were the words echoing through my head as I clutched Tsukasa's pencil, tight against my bosom, like a prayer talisman. Moments later, I crashed into the ground, and a horrible squelching sound echoed in my ears. My neck was... Tsukasa's pencil had pierced deep into my throat. Wow! Douchebag! Blood was spurting everywhere. I was practically drowning in it. I landed right on it, and it wasn't long before I gasped my final gasp. Ugh. That is cruel. Seriously, that's a dick move. Well, that's every wrong ending. Guess I'll do the right thing now. By the way, fun fact, breaking the glass at the front door or reaching out hands when falling would have gotten me out of that. So I'll save myself a little trouble and just break the damn glass. Yeah. Oh, yeah, well, break the glass. There we go. Oh, hey. Putting my thoughts in order, I came to the sudden realization that I was right near the umbrella racks. Unless the spirit had taken it or something, my umbrella should still have been right where I'd left it. Oh, I was actually wondering if she'd break the glass. I forgot about the umbrella. I practically tackled the rack, grabbing my umbrella in one swift motion. Not from the handle, mind you, but from the top. Nice. Then, taking aim at the glass part of the door, I swung as hard as I could, smacking it dead center with a sturdy plastic handle. The glass was not going to break so easily, of course, but it did crack, giving me the impetus I needed to go in for a second hit. Again and again I struck the glass. I had the umbrella gripped so tightly that the metal skeleton of the canopy was leaving indentations in my skin. I was sure there had to be a better way to do this, but I didn't have the luxury of time to figure out what it might have been.
またこっちに来る。
I began smacking the glass even harder, even faster. My hands were killing me, but this was my only hope of survival. Finally, after far too much effort, the glass shattered onto the floor, making one hell of a sound. Tepid air whooshed in from outside. It was still pouring rain, but I was free now, free to escape this hellhole. The pane I'd broken was on the lower half of the door, and I didn't care if I cut myself. I got down on my hands and knees, and I crawled like mad. I felt triumphant. For a brief moment, the fear was gone, and I was basking in my victory over the malevolent entity. But it didn't last long. Before I was even halfway through the door, I felt something coiling itself around my arm. What? With a start, I looked back. Oh, we're back to here. A tall, shadowy figure. No, I can't do it. Alright. Well, this is still the same. Same stuff as before. Guess I'm gonna reach out. Oh! Okay. I thought my arm was about to snap off, and then all of a sudden, I was whisked away. Whisked away by Tsukasa. Seriously. Why would he know of this? Tsukasa was still holding on to me tightly after saving me from the brink of death. He led me back into the school at incredible speed. Is there a reason you're going back into the school? He practically spit these words as he continued running. I tried to match his gait, and once we were a bit more in sync, I looked up at his face. After we reached the end of the hall, he suddenly veered into the last classroom before the stairwell, putting me in with him. Great. I moved away from Tsukasa and almost immediately spilled onto the ground like a house of cards. Tsukasa grabbed my arm to help me up. Unfortunately, it was the arm Yoshi had been twisting. Ooh, awkward. I draped my other hand over the sore spot where I assumed there was probably one hell of a bruise. Because that armor is going to get messed up next game. I started rubbing gently, but it didn't help at all. Yeah. Just thinking about going back out there and facing Yoshi made me shudder. I couldn't believe he was even entertaining the idea. You wanna let me know how? Tsukasa's gentle reassurance actually made me forget the pain in my arm for a moment. I had to stop myself from blushing, or try to, at any rate. Tsukasa offered me his hand, and I graciously took it, squeezing it tightly as he led me back out into the hallway. Despite the fact that nothing had really changed, I was still in just as much danger as I had been. The paralyzing fear I'd been feeling was gone. If it were just me, I would have never been able to do this. I would have frozen up, but with Tsukasa leading the way, I felt like I could do anything.
シシド、少し走るけど大丈夫か?
With my blessing, Tsukasa upped his pace significantly.
もうあいつが出てきませんように。
I prayed silently for smooth sailing as I followed Tsukasa's lead.
このまま司くんと一緒にいられれば安心。
I gently squeezed his hand again, as if to reassure myself that he was still with me. I was starting to think maybe Yoshie was gone, maybe we thwarted her, but of course, just as I was thinking that, she made her presence known again.
なんだってんだ。出てこい!
An unearthly voice reverberated through the dark corridor. I immediately drew myself into Tsukasa's back.
もっと連れてこい。
Ugh. God. Over Tsukasa's shoulder, I saw the same shadow-like spirit from before. It must have been waiting here to ambush us.
大丈夫、落ち着け。
The ghost was moaning and wavering before us. We'd never be able to get past it.
私のためにな。
おい、シシド。俺があいつを引きつけるから、その隙に走って逃げろ。
やだよ、一緒に逃げて。
俺には秘密兵器があるのさ。
Use it now.
俺のばあさんからもらった形見のお守り。さっきあいつにこれを向けたら少し割り上がった。
I was wondering how he got us off of that thing because it has a grip of steel.
形見のお守り？でも司くんやっぱり危険。
俺？まあなんとかなるだろう。
そんな。待ちなさい。
We really didn't have time to be arguing. It was closing in fast. And as it did, I noticed the spirit's figure had become more defined. She was a tall young woman, with her head turned sideways at a 90-degree angle. The tale of Yoshie suggests she fell down a flight of stairs, so a broken neck would certainly fit.
早く走れ!
He gave my back a shove to get me started, and with no time to object, I unconsciously obliged. Tsukasa ran too, darting ahead of me for a few short moments.
おい、化け物! こっちだ!
待ちなさい!
Tsukasa ran as close as he possibly could to get Yoshie's attention, then turned tail and began sprinting off in the opposite direction.
こっちだぞ! 化け物!
Amazingly, it worked. The spirit began chasing Tsukasa, leaving me completely unobstructed.
どうしよう。私このまま一人逃げてもいいの?
I was torn. On the one hand, I knew this was my best chance, but I couldn't help worrying about what would happen to him if his charm failed. I stopped for a moment and glanced over my shoulder. He was still running, and the shadowy figure was still in hot pursuit.
司くん、お守り出して！危ないよ！
いいから、行けって！お前が逃げ切ったのを確認したら、俺も逃げるからさ！
Calling it now, he has no charm. I still can't believe I fell for it, but this was right about when I realized the truth. Uh-huh. Tsukasa had no protective charm. He just made that up so I wouldn't object too strongly to him serving as a decoy while I got away.
やっぱりダメ!
I stopped in my tracks and shouted at the top of my lungs.
待ちなさい! Yoshie sensei!
I wasn't sure exactly what I was getting myself into, but I had to do something, and calling the spirit's name definitely seemed to have an effect.
あなたの名前知ってるわよ!
おい、シシド!
All at once, the black figure was facing me, though I never saw her turn around. Ugh, she was flying toward me now, ignoring Tsukasa. I repeated this like a sutra and stuck one hand into my pocket, grasping tightly onto the one and only item I stashed there.
お前は私を知っているのか? 私には本当にお守りがある.
Is it the pencil? Because the salt is out. Tsukasa's care, his effort, his beliefs, they're all packed into this pencil. And when you get right down to it, that's what a charm is, right? I squeezed the nubby little thing in my pocket, mentally preparing myself for the confrontation ahead. The confrontation I'd impulsively initiated.
シスター逃げろ
逃げない。私は逃げないわ。神様、どうかお願い。助けて。
I closed my eyes, lifted my hand from my pocket, and brandished Tsukasa's pencil intently. The gauntlet had been thrown. I was putting a lot of faith into this, and I really, really hoped I hadn't made a mistake in doing so.
私は獅子のゆい。この学校で先生を目指しているわ。
I opened my eyes to find that the shadowy spirit Yoshie had stopped dead in her tracks. Did it work? Was Tsukasa's pencil keeping this vengeful soul at bay? That.
私の代わりはいらない。
Oh, you bitch. Suddenly, I was whisked off my feet and slammed against the ceiling. The ceiling.
シスだ
I could see him down below. He was staring up at me and desperately leaping. He was trying to catch me, I suppose, even though he knew he'd never reach. I called out to him over and over again in my mind. If he could get away, if he could survive this ordeal, then it would all have been worth it. Yoshie was drawing near and I was helplessly pinned to the ceiling. I had no chance at all. There was no doubt in my mind that my life was over. I clung to the relief I felt at Tsukasa's safety. It was the only thing keeping me from losing my head entirely. Get it? Like Wrong Ending 1? Then all at once, the situation took a complete 180. It was like a miracle. Oh! Well, what do you know? Before I had any idea what was happening, I found myself bathed in a gentle light.
おばあちゃん。
守ってやれんですまんな。せめてこれ以上邪術が拡大せぬこと。
It was the old woman who had collapsed in front of my house. She was standing down below me, enveloped in a warm glow. Oh, so she did die. The black shadow lunged toward her. Then there was a horrific noise, and the old woman was gone. Oh.
シスター
And just like that, I fell to the ground. Ow. Whatever Yoshie had done to me, the old woman must have nullified it. That must have been why she came to me this morning, and why she had come again now. I felt like I was going to faint. Tsukasa ran to my side and gently scooped me off the ground into his arms. Yoshie's spirit was gone. She'd vanished along with the light. Around us now, the only sound was the pitter-patter of raindrops on the school roof.
おいシスターシスター
つかさ。
I'd suffered quite a bump on the head from my fall and was decidedly disoriented, but I still had enough sense to put my arms around Tsukasa's neck.
バカ逃げろって言ったのに
ごめん。でも。
I wanted to protect you. I couldn't bear the thought of losing you, is what I wanted to say. But instead, I just passed out in his arms.